Hello. All right, everybody. My name is Andrew Wirtz, and I am with Geode Marketing, here to talk to you guys about the Google Ad Grant today. So the topic I will be covering is understanding the ad grant, obtaining, and then maximizing once you get this. And for those of you who don't know what it is $10,000 in free monthly advertising for your nonprofit. So really excited to share some information with you. So what is the ad grant? So Google Ads provides $10,000 of in-kind advertising every month for Google text ads. And this only goes for 501c3s. So one big question I always get from nonprofits is how this works, and if you can use this for other things like paying your team or putting it towards other types of advertising. But this $10,000 is never actually converted into currency. So it is 10,000 USD, but it is more of a credit within the platform. So Google, it doesn't require a credit card to be added into your Google Ads account. If you've ever run Google Ads before, you know, setting up billing, that's the first thing you have to do. For a ad grant account, you'll never have to put that info in. And that $10,000 just kind of magically starts flowing. And Google just automatically stops spending every day when you reach your limit of like $319. And then that adds up to 10,000. So within their back end of their system, they will just cut off your account every time you hit that limit, every day and every month. But the next part of just how the ads themselves work. So the ad grant helps show your message of your nonprofit to people searching for services that your nonprofit offers, or even other nonprofits like you. So for those of you who aren't really aware of how Google Ads works, have you ever tried to type in something at the top of Google or just in your browser, and you see that small little ad on the left of the results? So those signify that people are paying for those. Everything else below that is just going to be like SEO or those organic results. So yeah, in this example, someone searching for soccer cleats, you can see, of course, Nike, Adidas, these top brands that are paying to be the first results. So with this $10,000 credit, Google will serve your ad to compete with these people who are serving ads and often paying for them. Google uses a bidding system to decide like whose ad to show first. So in this case, you can see Adidas is going to be at the top of this. That means they probably paid the most of these three ads here to be in that first position. And this bidding system, there's a lot of different ways that it's decided, but for the ad grant itself, the ads of nonprofits will generally be shown below people who are paying out of pocket, just because Google doesn't want to inflate their results or make people pay, you know, artificially high bids because they're putting these free ads to nonprofits first. So yeah, that's where ads become really crucial, because the quality of your ad is what decides what position you're going to be in for most of these searches. So that's where Geode Marketing comes in. So we are a Google certified agency. You can find on our website, founded in 2020. And we focus on PPC, or pay-per-click advertising. So Google Ads, Bing Ads, all of these on these search results pages. And we specifically focus on acquisition and optimization of the Google Ad Grant for nonprofits. We work with various industries and sizes, nonprofits from one person who's really running everything to a whole team. So My name is Andrew Wirtz, and I'm the founder and a Google Ads expert. I have been working in the field for about 5 years. So yeah, just jumping into more of how Google Ads work. So this is an example with a rescue that we work with, a live rescue. So if you search dog adoption in Chicago, you will see that first result brings up these Google Ad Grant ads. So in this case, a lot of these shelters, the competition, are also just going to be 501c3s. They have the ad grant themselves. So that's where we can really capitalize on that getting in first position because we don't have any paid competitors. So huge opportunity here. And this ad is being triggered by these keywords that we decide when to target. Another nonprofit that we work with, Autism. So for this, they work with autistic children and adults, creating support groups for their relatives and their families. So as you can see, this ad is triggered by people searching parent support groups, autism parent support groups. So eligibility. I know a lot of people here who aren't aware of it are wondering, am I eligible for this, and how do we know? So the main thing to be eligible is just to be a registered 501c3, or if you're outside of the US, for any international people joining, you just have to be the equivalent of whatever a charity is within your country. Google has a ton of resources on this, what they consider, but yeah, if you have that status in your country, then you are eligible. But beyond that, there really isn't anything besides having a website that you can send people to. So the big thing is how to get it. If there's one thing I can emphasize for this presentation today, it is this slide. So acquiring the grant. This used to be a really lengthy process. Google made people go through a 3-month-long process to acquire the grant. Now it is way easier than it used to be. If any of you guys use Google for Nonprofits for your Gmail account, if you use that, then you already have finished step 1. But if you don't, really simply, you just go to on Google, you can search Google for Nonprofit and register. And from there, it'll ask you some questions like your EIN number, a contact for someone who can verify this information if you need to send in like IRS documents. And through that, Google will have you verified through TechSoup, which is a Google partner, and they just work on verifying your nonprofit status. And then once you have that, you can go back into the Google for Nonprofit platform, which will direct you to the Google Ad platform to register for your ad grant. Simple as that. So once you have the ad grant, you have these different compliance requirements to maintain the grant. And that's the biggest thing where maintenance and optimization of your grant come into play, because if you do fall out of compliance, not following these steps, then you can lose the grant. So that is what I am here to talk about today. And for those of you who aren't aware of it, this is the URL for you to just jump in and start this process today. But yeah, so maintaining the grant. A lot of this jumps into more technical requirements within the ads account. And the big one I would say to focus on for those who aren't aware of Google Ads is just that 5% click-through rate. So that is basically a metric that Google looks at. You have impressions and you have clicks. So the number of times your ad is shown, impressions, versus the number of times it's clicked on, will get you that click-through rate. And you want that to be greater than 5%. And it has to be for the ad grant. basically just shows, you have good ad copy. Your ads are relevant to the search that person is making. So if you are serving, in that example, dog adoption Chicago, you want to make sure that the ad says that exact phrase in it. And it's really relevant to what that person searched. And that's where you'll see a better click-through rate, greater than 5%. Some of these other ones, geo-targeting. So you want to make sure you tell Google Ads, do we only want to target a state? Do we want to target the entire US, or are we even going global? For number one here, no single word keywords. So for example, dog adoption Chicago is very specific. If we just did adoption, that could be leading people into a lot of different topics. Definitely want to be as specific as possible and make sure we're reaching the right people. No low quality score keywords. So quality score is a metric that Google uses. There's some information that I can share with everyone after the call on what this is, but it's just basically saying that your keywords are in line with the landing page that you sent it to and the ads that you link them to. And then finally, conversion tracking. So I'll be covering this later on the call, but you have to have conversion tracking either through your Google Analytics or through Google Tag Manager linked on your website that tells Google once someone comes to your site from an ad that they're doing the action that you want them to do on that landing page. So whether that is donations, filling out a contact form, subscribing to your email newsletter, that can be fed back into Google to let them know which ads convert most often. So yeah, this is the biggest thing to maintain the grant. But besides that, if you maintain these requirements, you will get this $10,000 every single month indefinitely. So since the start of Google Ad Grants in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, there are some nonprofits that have been utilizing this for about 15 years now. So many people brought to their website, so many people that have heard their message through this. And so, yeah, how can this help you guys? What can it do for your mission? So here I have some examples of just all of the variety of industries and conversions that we can track. So driving awareness, we've worked with Millionaires Training Academy, which works on business education, helping people learn how to run their business and find opportunities. And their biggest thing is they want to just educate people on investment, literacy, and business coaching. For selling tickets, we work with a World Affairs Council. If you guys are familiar, all around the nation, they have different locations, but this is of Greater Houston, and they use this to promote events that they have. They have speakers, politicians coming regularly, and they also have global trips that you can go on. That we sell tickets for. Gaining students. So today, during our panel, we have a speaker from the Sailing Association here joining, and they work to sell tickets to their children's day camp. So we have a 25% increase year over year that they've seen in registration to this day camp for sailing. For recruiting volunteers, but earlier I showed that example from Alive Animal Rescue. So they use the ad grant to recruit people, bring in-person shelter volunteers, and then also online volunteers who can run different parts of the organization. And engaging donors. So In the Weeds is a nonprofit in Colorado that works with service workers, chefs, waiters, barbacks, who struggle with addiction, or also even just getting basic necessities like medical care, and they really help do that through the donations that they get through their Google Ad Grant. And then attracting visitors. So any churches out there, we have North Village Church in Austin, and they work with us to drive in-person visitors to their Austin congregation. All right, so I see a question here that healthcare is not eligible. 501c3 organizations, yeah, so there's a few exceptions. So all 501c3s are eligible except for universities, education. So if it is like state funded or a school, those are not eligible. And then healthcare, hospitals, I know often will have a nonprofit sector, but they are the only exception. So yeah, education and healthcare are the exceptions to that rule. Thank you for your question, Amy. So yeah, now getting into the ad account of Google Ad Grants. For those of you who already have it, love for you to think about the structures of your accounts and how it compares to what you currently have. So in this example, want to jump back into that rescue and the adoption and dog adoption that we saw. So Google Ads works, at the top you have a campaign. Within campaigns, then you have ad groups. So in this example, we have adopt pets. So we have that search for adopt dogs, which would fall under this ad group. And then we would want to split that up with people searching for cats. So definitely wouldn't want that to be in the same campaign, because within ad groups, we have different keywords that we target. And that's where then the ads that we have should be linked to these keywords, so that when someone searches adoptable dogs near me, they're not going to see cat adoption near me. If those were all in the same ad group or campaign, you know, we wouldn't have the best experience, and then that click-through rate that I discussed earlier would probably be impacted. But yeah, if someone, anytime they're searching anything related to dog adoption, they see ads that have keywords like this in them, they will be much more likely to interact. And yeah, so as I mentioned, these ads then are structured within the ad group and linked to those keywords. So we have multiple ads in each ad group because we also want to test out the performance, try different variations of these to see what is more enticing, what draws more people in to click. So for those of you who already have it, hopefully you guys have a strong foundation, at least like one campaign live with a few ad groups. But for those who aren't aware, as your account grows and your website grows and the content on it, we expect to see these grow drastically. So you're going to have a lot of different campaigns with many ad groups in them targeting all of those variations of keywords, because we want to be as specific as possible when we create our ads, and make sure that they're as targeted to the keywords that they are linked to. So yeah, you can see on a mature account, we will have dozens of campaigns with within each of them having multiple ad groups. So it can be a lot to manage and to keep track of, because once they're live, you definitely do not want to leave it. It has to be optimized. But this really comes into the content that you're sending these to. So as you know, we have these ads with these keywords, but these ads have to go somewhere. So they're going to a landing page on your website. And that's where I want you to think about what content is currently on your website that would work well for Google Ads. So with Google Ads, you generally want to be answering a question. You know, people go to Google, they're looking for a resource or they're looking for the answer to a question. And what on your website is ready to answer those questions for these people. So in this example, for shelters, you know, there are people at every point of the adoption process. You know, they just decided today, you know what, I think I want to get a dog. I think I'm ready for that. Or they could be already shopping around. They've contacted a lot of different shelters and they want to dive deeper into their research and make sure that they are making the right decision with the shelter that they chose. So with those, you want to make sure you have content for every person, no matter where they are in that process. And we have some questions here, like, is adopting a dog expensive? How long does dog adoption typically take? Are there animal shelters near me? What do I need to do in advance to adopting? So here's some content that then should be on your website to be able to answer these questions. So for some nonprofits, they try to lump this all into one page, you know, but we want to make sure we have a specific page for each of these questions. Google Ads will work much better if you're really tailoring the content on your site to specific topics. So examples of this would be affordable cost of adopting a dog. Adopting a dog explained here when it comes to how long that process normally takes. Local shelters really want to do hyper focus. So if we're doing geo-targeting in one city, then you want to make sure you have a page targeting only that city and giving possibly other options for different shelters near them. And then preparing to adopt a dog, what these people need to get, etc. So think about these questions in terms of your nonprofit. What are people searching that would lead them to your site? And is your website prepared right now for that? So the next is solar. So we have the same thing for shelters, but we have, let's say, a nonprofit that works in solar energy. So is installing solar expensive? At what point do solar panels pay for themselves? It's a question people are always asking. Solar options in New York, in Illinois. And then should I buy or lease solar panel systems? So financing options, having pages for that, the cost of installing solar, if it's worth it, and answering that question within that blog. So yeah, this process of these question and answers, I think, is a great way to start thinking about the content that you have for Google Ads. And I encourage you guys to do this with like 5 to 10 top questions that you think your visitors are getting to your site or should get to your site for. So yeah, this is where, for those of you who have the grant, I really want you to think about your current content. So maximizing the effectiveness of that $10,000, let's say, maybe you aren't spending your full $10,000, you have room to grow. You want to think about what content to add to your site. Or maybe you do, but you just don't see the conversions that you're hoping. So that's where I encourage promotable content. So how many promotable pages does your website have? These are the pages that you would then link to your Google Ads. Characteristics of these would be a single topic page. So again, as I emphasized, rather than having like a frequently asked questions page for your nonprofit, try to break it out into those different questions and write a paragraph or two about each. Significant word count. Definitely the more content, the better, if it has the opportunity to educate these people who land on the page, but even just a paragraph or two is a great start. And then subjects people are searching for. So that's where keyword research really comes in. If you guys are using tools for your organic strategy, oftentimes you can use those same tools to decide what keywords to target for your PPC strategy. And then the big thing is include a call to action. So a lot of times people send their ads to a page that doesn't really have a contact us form, or maybe on the footer, it just has your email subscription that's on every page of the site. I would really encourage you to think about moving that call to action to the top of the page, making it relevant to the topic, encouraging people to submit their contact information to you guys. And this comes down to high quality content. So you want that call to action to be enticing, but the content on the website really has to be good enough to convince these people as well, to say, you know, I want to work with them, I want to speak with someone on their team, or I want to donate, even if that is the call to action. So what is high quality content for Google Ads? It emphasizes the user experience, presents the user with content that they're looking for in an easy, concise, and attractive way. So that's, again, making sure that they don't have to scroll through a list of questions and answers on a frequently asked question page to find what question they're looking for, making sure it's in the title of the blog that you send them to or the landing page. But yeah, not only does this help with your rankings with Google Ads, also organically, but it will boost your conversions, traffic to that page, and other valuable metrics, as Google will see that people are converting more often or they spend more time on the page, and they'll be more likely to serve your ad. So using high quality content to boost conversions. So while users come to your site for the content, that's the thing I spoke on in the last slide, is you really want to take advantage of that attention by placing your buttons and your forms strategically. So yeah, buttons are used to draw attention. If it's a question page, for example, with dog adoption, you could attach a button for a free guide on dog adoption, like a PDF that they can download. And then calls to action are phrases that ask them to take that next step. So that would be within that button, you could say, download your free dog adoption guide, or even if they want someone to reach out about the next steps for dog adoption, you can have them contacted by someone on your team. So having our shelter reach out to you. So both of these should really direct this person to a high value conversion on the landing page. And yeah, again, a lot of times people won't include this on the page that they send people to. And I want you to, if you have the grant, go back to all of your ads, click on every landing page, and make sure that there is a clear call to action button on that that's easy for people to fill out. So I have an example here. I know it's hard to really imagine all of these things when it comes to high quality content. But so again, coming back to this example of dog adoption, so searches on the landing page. So if someone is searching what is dog fostering, what is cat fostering, this could be a really great landing page to send them to. In the title, you have that question that they asked on Google. So this person knows right away that the content is relevant. The clear button and call to action. So really draws their attention, and it is that high value conversion. So apply to be a foster. That is the goal, of course, for people who are researching this, and also for the nonprofit to get people involved and volunteering in a sense by fostering. And then plenty of information and text on the page. So here we have stories. They have like basically a case study in this case, just for people to imagine how these fostering situations would work for them if they decided to do it. And then quite a bit more information here. You can see they show our process, what they provide, frequently asked questions, all of this on this landing page or on separate landing pages. So I think this is a great example of a PPC landing page. And yeah, I encourage you to go back into yours and make sure, do you have these keywords that you are sending people or targeting people on your landing page? If you don't, really reconsider redoing that page or redirecting them to a new page that's hyper-focused. And then the big thing is, so once you do that and you get these people to apply to be a foster, back to that, the compliance requirements for Google, you have to be tracking these conversions. So Google wants to know, oh, they landed on your page, but what did they do? If you don't set up conversion tracking, Google won't be able to tell that they applied to be a foster, and then they will be less likely to send ads to you in the future or visitors through ads to you because, your competitor probably is telling them, oh, they are submitting forms, they're doing all of these different activities. So they are, it just shows our website is really high value and set up properly. So for your nonprofit, if you have the grant, there's some different tools that you can do to set this up and get conversion tracking in order. So one is GA4 or Google Analytics. As you all know, Universal Analytics is ending in July 2023. So I encourage you to get your GA4 set up. That's a little separate to this, but still definitely relevant, especially if you are setting up conversions. The other option, and what we do here at Geode, is using Google Tag Manager. So that's where you set up, similar to your tag on Google Analytics, tags on the site, and then you set conversion events on Google Tag Manager that flow back into Google Ads. So you can see here, we have a screenshot from the Google Ads platform. Once it's flowing back in, then you can track, the cost per conversion, the clicks, and how many of those clicks resulted in conversions versus the cost that you have. And this not only helps you decide what campaigns are performing the best, what ad groups, but most importantly, it helps Google so they can prioritize when to show your ads. And now once you have these set up, the big thing is continuing maintenance of your account. So using the Google Ad Grant effectively really requires you to go in often and optimize the account, make sure you have that 5% click-through rate, and then continue to add content on your site and add groups in the account. So anytime you add content or change something on your site, that should result in changes to your Google Ads. Even if you just change like the title on a blog, then you want to make sure that that phrase, that title itself, is in the ad so it matches up with that user experience. Also use your analytics, your GA4 data, and then also your conversion metrics in Google Ads to guide the decisions that you make and decide what changes you want to make in your ads and what models success for your nonprofit. So I will want to go into the questions that you guys have, but some frequently asked questions that I often get are, does that $10,000 end, and is it a one-time grant? So I think I covered this earlier, but you can receive that $10,000 monthly indefinitely, as long as you maintain the grant requirements. There are more than just these 5, but Google has all this information online. Also, we can share them with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to my team. And yeah, there's a lot of resources from Google on how to make sure you maintain the grant. What types of nonprofits benefit the most from this? So what I want to emphasize is that all nonprofits can benefit from utilizing this free tool. This is $10,000. There is really no requirements beyond the setup and those compliance requirements to maintain the grant. So I think every nonprofit should just take the time to learn about acquiring it, which is now a very easy process, and then getting a simple campaign set up. But in general, who benefits the most from this, I would say, would be nonprofits who reach a national audience. As you limit your geo-targeting, you're also limiting then the amount of searches that people are seeing. So if you have a really local, small nonprofit, sometimes it's hard to spend a decent amount of money of that $10,000. So yeah, national and international nonprofits will be able to spend that $10,000 easier. Nonprofits with revenue models that benefit from that exposure. So for example, like YMCAs, churches, JCCs, getting people in the door for nonprofits, this can be really helpful. And then also nonprofits that a lot of people search for just with high search volume. So again, from the keyword research, seeing that there's tens of thousands of searches for relevant or related keywords like animal rescues, advocacy organizations, current events, homeless shelters, always a ton of searches for these things. Yeah, if you're a really niche nonprofit, sometimes it's hard to find the keywords, but it also might mean that you have little competition, so you can capitalize on that. But I really encourage you, at the minimum, create a brand campaign to ensure that anytime someone searches the name of your nonprofit, you are that first result on Google. And yeah, I think that is a lower lift than, creating all this new content, answering these questions, and you can just create a simple campaign targeting the keywords of your brand name. And yeah, the biggest one is, do a lot of nonprofits spend that full 10K? The most do not, and that is not a bad thing. Just as I said, if you're a local nonprofit, you probably won't have to, and that's fine. But we, especially here at Geode, want to focus on conversions versus that spend. We would rather bring in quality traffic that brings you conversion volume rather than just a lot of traffic that bounces and leaves your website right away. So yeah, that $10,000 is a lot of money, and we encourage nonprofits not to focus on only spending that as the main metric to look at when evaluating its performance. So we have created a guide which we'll send you in the follow-up for the conference early next week. But we have it linked here as well. And then feel free to email our team with any questions after. But I will jump into some questions now. So from Keisha, I see, does the Google host free emails for nonprofits? That is part of the Google for Nonprofits system. So absolutely, I say get that set up, and then within your Google for Nonprofits account, you can set up your Google Ad Grant, and you can also set up your emails. So yeah, you can get free Google Workspace for your nonprofit through that system. So Amy, I have an agency that handles Google Ads for me. Can they manage the ad grant placements for us? Absolutely. So yeah, if that agency's handling your Google Ads, they should be handling the placement. The placement is really based off of the keywords that you target. And that impacts then how often you're going to show for that. So they should be looking at that and evaluating that monthly when they are sending you reports and discussing performance with you. From Heidi, if I have a WordPress site, does it matter for the ad grant whether we're using primarily posts or pages? No, it does not. So yeah, I work with nonprofits that have a variety of different like hosting or website builders that they use. The big thing is the content on the page. So Google will be able to see like the title tag of it and the text on it. But whether it's a post or page, it shouldn't impact the performance or Google's evaluation of that landing page. All right. I think,
Andrew, you actually do have a few more questions. Sorry to hop on. We only
okay.
have about 3 more minutes, so I just want to make sure we get them. One of the
Oh,
questions was, to have Google Grants work well, how much time does one have to dedicate to this task weekly? And if a nonprofit organization keeps up with the timing and puts in all the right keywords, what would you say is a typical return on investment?
yeah, so weekly, I would say at least like an hour a week. It also is completely up to you how much time you want to put into this. So for some people, they just, for example, if they just create a brand campaign, they'll check on it every 2 weeks, once a month, just to make sure that they complete those compliance requirements and that they're not falling below a 5% click-through rate. If you really want to see big impact, a lot of conversions, donations, people filling out these contact us forms, then I would say, yeah, at least like an hour a week, just checking in on the performance, but also strategizing, thinking about how you want to expand it, what content you want to build on your website. So no different than how you would want to think about your SEO strategy and in time, how you want to grow your site. So when it comes to the return on investment, that is really tricky because every nonprofit has different conversions they want to track. Putting a dollar amount on that, I would say is difficult, but for each nonprofit, if you think about your average donation, and then if you look at donations as a conversion for your ad grant, you could do your best to project, what you can expect in terms of new donations from your Google Ads per month. But sometimes that does take a little bit of trial and error. So you can run it for like 2 to 3 months, see how many conversions you get per month, and then evaluate that then.
Melissa has a very in-depth question about her organization and specific returns. So Melissa, I am going to send you Andrew's email address so that you can directly ask him, just because it is such a specific response. And then one more question, the last one would be, we had ad grants, however, we do not have a ton of time to manage them. Do you recommend, do you have any recommendations for ad grant managers?
Yeah, so Geode Marketing, we are a Google ad grant focused agency. So definitely, if that's something you're interested in, reach out to us and we can look at your account, do a consultation, and see if we're a right fit for you guys. But there are a ton out there. So yeah, we can always try to point you in the right direction depending on what you're looking for. But yeah, Melissa, I will read your response then, and I can follow up with you after this. But yeah, thank you everyone. Again, I'm Andrew Wirtz, and feel free to email me at info@geodemarketing.com, and enjoy the rest of the conference today.